What is going on, everyone? AP over here at Rumpier Sports. We got the Lineup Builder Show. I'm here with my guy, Rubio Dimes. We're coming off a big weekend, Rubio. Our guy, Big T, at it again. I got to pull this up. So he hops on the Up to Lock show. That's members only, premium content, members only, after doing the hardwood show, or no, nah. What is it in the morning? Morning Wood. I wanted to say Print Factory, but Print Factory, premium piece of content. Morning Wood. We got the hardwood. We got the Morning Wood. I got all the wood, obviously, after yesterday. So this dude gives out a core that is just the absolute stones, ships 151K made slate, and then runs his the Who Day Nation scripts and ships Showdown. So shout out to Big T. Congratulations. A lot of the members had that hit too. Absolutely love it. We love to see it. Rubio, let's bring you in, man. How was your weekend? How was your Sunday?
It was good. When you cash the main, despite thinking you're dead early on, it always makes for a better day, and Saturday, Friday, and all that was good too. I got fifth on the FanDuel main and NBA one slate. So trying to get first, but getting Sabersim dialed in and stuff right now. It's a lot of fun. And I know tonight we got some hot takes too. So it'll be a good show, and I can't wait to see what we have to unfold here. And also Big T. I mean, goodness, that was the easiest spot. We all knew the Bengals were going to go in and just kick Buffalo's ass, and that's exactly what happened. That defense stood no chance against the Bengals, and honestly, that Bengals defense looking a lot better than it did start the year too. So, yeah, it's good to see, some Cincinnati representation with Big T taking home 27K. He played Drew Sample over Tanner Hudson. I've been getting dunked on. I got dunked on by you playing the kicker over Juwan Jennings, and then I get dunked on by Big T playing Drew Sample over Tanner Hudson. I can't deal with these second best lineups things anymore, man. I got to get first one day.
Yeah, when I saw that touchdown, I'm like, oh man, Drew Sample, Tutty, like we know Big T's up there at the top. I did not have Drew Sample either. It was a great day. We were just talking about it before the show too. Like the bets side of it, as you mentioned, was awesome as well. Like the Chiefs game, obviously over there in Germany, got things started for me. It's set up perfectly. Anytime I get Mahomes like -1 or a pick'em, which was basically what it was, I'm firing. I don't care who it is. I'm firing. And Big T's, my only gripe, you got to stop betting against Mahomes, man. Like I think it's either you take it in the right spots or you leave it alone. Because I mean, the guy's a freaking wizard, and the defense showed up. I still think Kansas City has offensive problems that they have to figure out, but Mahomes will get it figured out. A lot of ugly wins right now. But your Bengals, man, your Bengals on the rise right now. I see Uncle T in chat. Uncle T, I'm sure you had an awesome time at the game last night. Looked like an electric environment. Absolutely owned the Bills once again. Shout out to Who Day Nation. And I'm not a Who Day hater at all. Like your coach, Nebraska guy, Cam Taylor-Britt, Nebraska guy, absolute stud. So I got to root them on a little bit. But let's get into tonight's slate. We love showdowns here. This is our Lineup Builder show with our partners, Sabersim. That is what Rubio has up right now. I love this game. I think we both already fired bets, and we're going to talk about that. But we're going to be breaking down the Chargers, the Bolts, as I call them, against Jets. Chargers favored by 3.5 points on the road against this Jets team. I mean, this Jets team is hot right now too. They got 3 wins, 3-4 wins in a row. I mean, things are starting to get in the right, go in the right direction for them. Rubio, so we always start the show off with our base build. I'm really curious because with this Chargers team, you get a pretty, if you pull up the past optimal sheet over at Rumpier Sports, you get a pretty defined target tree. When you look at their optimal captains, typically skilled position players, Austin Eckler, Travis Kelce, Josh Jacobs, Keenan Allen, Tyreek Hill, one Dak Prescott. That was when we faded him. You remember that game? That was one we broke down where we faded the quarterbacks at the captain spot. But typically we see that skill position player. What is the base build showing us tonight?
Well, it's feeding us a lot of Keenan Allen captain, Zach Wilson captain, and then Quentin Johnson, Garrett Wilson. So that makes sense. You got 4 double-digit captains. Keenan Allen's being forced in a ton with Joshua Palmer out, put on IR too. So they're going to be wounded at the wide receiver core. I mean, just the problem with that, DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner are just going to be on lockdown in that secondary, and that makes that scary. But Keenan Allen moves around a lot in that offense. He should get plenty of targets anyway, so it's going to be a safe captain. And you look at the top team with him, he's the second top team in rank. And you get 3 weapons without Herbert, but then you get the 3 best Jets weapons too, which in a close spread, the total isn't all that high and stuff, but these builds make sense, especially when the Chargers wide receivers are so cheap. You don't really need a ton to get there. And that's also what you see here in the flex. Guess who you get a lot of? You get a lot of Quentin Johnson. With Joshua Palmer sidelined, you get Quentin Johnson should be able to get a lot more targets. You think maybe you just get up to the 4 or 5 range, can easily pay off 3,600. Didn't look that bad last week against the Bears. Almost was optimal. It might have been optimal. I can't actually remember if he was or not. But I don't hate Quentin Johnson today. But again, tough matchup, and that's something that we're gonna have to decipher today. AP is we'll give our thoughts a little bit later, but the worst matchup in the league for wide receivers is been the Jets secondary. And that has been the case all season. This season, not so much with Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed sideline in a handful of games, but they're going to be back. They're going to be back in full action today. I don't know. I don't love attacking this Jets secondary one bit.
You always know that I got the matchups broken down, and you're spot on. You're 100% spot on there. They've been very stout against opposing pass catchers, ranking 4th against wide receiver 1s and 2nd against wide receiver 2 and 3s, basically the best against opposing receivers. They're up there right there with obviously the Browns. And so, yeah, it's going to be tough. And actually 3 receivers have put up good numbers on them. And by good numbers, I mean over 20 points, DK points, looking at that metric. Outside of that, no one else has done anything against them. And those 3 receivers, all studs, as you could imagine. A.J. Brown went for 7, 131. CeeDee Lamb, 11 catches, 143. And Diggs, 10 catches, 102. So those are all wide receiver 1s that are volume monsters that get targeted a lot. So I guess, I'm with you on Keenan Allen. I think the move there is adjusting them down a little bit, but I still want to keep him. I still want to keep him there just because he is going to get peppered with targets. But I'm fully with you on these Jet scripts, and especially when we're looking at that receiver position by reducing them down. I'm just on the surface, Rubio, and I believe we are fully aligned here. But I was surprised when I saw this spread and the money line on the Jets. When you look at the Chargers, I mean the Chargers, coming off a nice win, 30-13, but they're going against Tyson Bagent, and they beat up a not so great Chicago team. I guess the Chicago defense has been a little bit better. Outside of that, they lost to Kansas City on the road. They had a good win over the Vikings earlier this season on the road, but they lost to the Titans on the road. I'm not sold. And then when you look at the Jets at home, especially, they got some big wins. They beat Philly at home. They beat the Bills at home. They got, 2 questionable losses. Obviously with the questionable one was to the Patriots. They were live to beat Kansas City at home too. So you're giving me 3.5 points and plus 160 on the money line for the Jets, for the Jets, Jets. I mean, I'm all on board bets wise. So if I already gave it away, I got the side of money line right now. And I think you're on board with me. Is that right?
Yeah, 100%. I'm definitely on the Jets this game. I think it's just a nightmare matchup for the Chargers. And I did want to mention the day that A.J. Brown went off, Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed were both out. So, you're going to get a lot of just wide receiver matchups here where, it's just a nightmare for no matter who plays. It's going to lead me to being a lot on Eckler, but I just think this Jets team matches up really well on the front line, also in the defense too. It's just, I don't know. I struggle to see Staley and Kellen Moore cooking up something that'll take this Jets defense down. A lot of people don't like picking the Chargers because they always burn you. Let's just play the other side. Let's pick the Jets. They won't burn us. We can take Jets money line tonight and be just fine. I think it's just really nice. And overall, I don't know. I just matchup wise, the Jets just have an elite edge. And I know it's tough to trust Zach Wilson, but God, this Chargers secondary sucks. If he can't succeed today, he won't ever succeed ever.
Yeah, I'm with you. So a few other trends while looking at the current Jets win streak, I wanted to go over to the optimal sheet to see if we could identify anything that's popping out. And it is kind of interesting. But when you look at earlier in the season, when they're on that losing streak, the builds were 2-4, 2-4, and a 1-5. So it was a 2-4 against the Cowboys. It was actually a 2-4 against the Bills too, which was a win. But then when you go to their current stretch, and I'm going to add the Chiefs game in there since they were very live, 3-3, 3-3, 4-2, 4-2. The last 4-2 was wild. So it was a 13-10 win over the Giants. This build is so wild. I gotta talk through it. But Giants defense was captain, Breece Hall, CJ Uzomah, Saquon Barkley, Garrett Wilson, Zach Wilson. So wild build, absolutely wild. But let's dive in. You got so we got the base build done. Do you have the adjusted build? We start adding some bias, getting to the sims.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me go ahead and add this contest sim here. So one thing that you're going to notice that I did is that I bumped the Jets up and I bumped the Chargers down. That kind of seems to be the theme that we wanted to go with. And it's a theme that I firmly believe in today. So let's go ahead and run these sims here. You're wondering how to get there. You hit contest, go to contest sim settings, and then you can add a contest sim to put in. So we're doing it for the main flagship, $15 on DraftKings tonight. You can also do this for FanDuel too. Works for all sports, or not all sports, I should say, but most of the main sports. You can do it for NBA, you can do it for NHL, you can do it for NFL. And you're going to see here, just off the initial single game stuff, kind of just how the sims in the basic package do. You're going to get a lot of Garrett Wilson, Eckler, Zach Wilson. And look at that, the Jets defense I bumped up pretty substantially. Now with the sims done, let's see how much this changes. We got a ton of Garrett Wilson. Let's change these uniques to 2. You get a lot of Garrett Wilson tonight, and that's the matchup to attack. You want to attack the Chargers secondary with the Jets wide receivers, I would think, the Jets passing game, and so this makes sense. Then we go to flex here. I assume Breece Hall we're slightly under on. I didn't know exactly what to do with him, so I want to get your take on Breece Hall too. But you're going to see a lot of Eckler is fed. We're not getting a ton of Keenan. I bumped him down, tough matchup, and you see a name that you would expect to see 50+% of. It's Justin Herbert. I don't know, 11-8. He's $3K more expensive than Zach Wilson too. So the builds that are not spitting him out, I don't think they're bad. And you look at this team right here. Woo, that's pretty nice. Darius Davis getting a small bump with Josh Palmer out. Jalen Guyton is inactive tonight. He could get a big role too. So that's definitely stuff to keep track of in the 200 range.
Yeah, just when you look at pricing, obviously pricing matters, especially when you're trying to figure out 5-1s, 4-2s, kind of your stack type there. I think 4-2 really pops off as a good structure on the Jets side to build around, and it's all pricing. When you look at it, we can attack the Bolts secondary. They've been very bad against opposing wide receivers. And when you look at especially wide receiver ones, when you look at Garrett Wilson, 13 targets, 12 targets, 7 against Denver, at Denver, 14 against Kansas City. The dude is going to be absolutely peppered. And you brought up such a good point with his price compared to a guy like Justin Herbert's. Yeah, isn't he right? What's his price? Or you could it was Zach Wilson to Justin Herbert, but
$3K.
Those two are probably priced pretty far away too, right?
Oh yeah, $3K from Zach to Justin Herbert,
and I could see him outscoring him very easily tonight.
Oh,
Like the Jets have been very good against opposing quarterbacks and wide receivers. Where they're leaky against is opposing running backs. So it sets up good. I like that you have Austin Eckler bumped up there. That's where I could see it being Austin Eckler as one of the two pieces from the Bolts side, plus one other piece, whether it's a kicker, Cameron Dicker, the kicker, a cheap receiver. That's the other thing too with the Chargers. Jalen Guyton, I actually kind of like that call. What's Jalen Guyton's price?
Is not on DK, is on FanDuel. He's on FanDuel at min price. He is the deep threat guy. We got our guy Bobby Boom, who was mentioning it yesterday, but he's not on DraftKings. I don't expect them to add him to the player pool this late in the day. We're about 9 hours from the slate lock-in. So, yeah, I don't see him being added to the pool. And even on FanDuel, I'd argue, if you, in my case, I'm not that high on Herbert and Keenan and stuff. I honestly don't need the min price value. I came into the slate wanting to do it, but you just really don't need it in the end all be all.
Yeah, the other thing, too, is kickers. So when you look at both of these kickers, Greg Zuerlein, he's put up some big numbers, especially over the last 3 games, 7, 14, and 18 DK points put up over his last 3 games, all 3 wins. So even in a Jets wins, they got a lot of ugly wins. That's how this team gets it done. When given the opportunity to kick a field goal via Greg the Leg, dude has an absolute beast of a leg. They're going to lean on him, and you just see it in his results. 4.4K. I mean, these prices on kickers have gone up, so it's like I'm not in love with it, but I definitely think Greg Zuerlein and Cameron Dicker are both in play here. I mean, Cameron Dicker was optimal last week, going 3 for 3 with 2 50-yard bombs, I believe, and then making 3 extra points. So it's a kicker slate. Defenses, I'm kind of torn on. I don't know. Like Charger, what's your thoughts on? Like, could you see Zach Wilson making a mistake? And let's just say their defense has been incredible, but could you see like a pick 6 or something like that, where that's one way the Bolts get on the board? And what is the Chargers defense like? What's their price?
The Chargers defense is the 5Ks, I believe. We're not going to hit them much. 5K, yep.
Oh man, 5K. The price. So the pricing is kind of egregious, and that just makes me like defenses even less, especially when we have these nice skill position plays, especially on the Jets side, and then obviously Austin Eckler is someone that you're liking as well. What are you seeing? What kind of scripts kind of come to mind? What cheap pieces are you looking at on this slate?
I cheap pieces wise, the Jets defense is going to stand out for me. 4,200. I know that's not cheap, right? But we talked about this sense of you really don't need a whole lot of cheap guys, right? Outside of Darius Davis, you're not going to see a bunch of guys in the 200 range. Maybe Randall Cobb if Allen Lazard is out, but even then, that's super gross. We really want to play Randall Cobb. I guess against the secondary, it's viable. But I want to stress here real quick, AP, is let me filter it out real quick. Oh, come on. I got to make the filter right now. There is no mid-range at all. So you're going to see a lot of people funnel into the same build. Look at this gap. We have 8,800. The next playable player is 5,600. That's a huge gap. That's almost 3K. That's over 3K in salary in between this 2 players here, which is just wild, right? And then you kind of continue to go on down. You don't Simi Fehoko is 600. Obviously caught the touchdown last time out. Let's see here. We got Donald Parham, 3,200. Not bad. Quentin Johnston gets a big bump with Joshua Palmer out. But I honestly don't like going below this range at all. They finally priced Josh Kelly correctly after he was 5K last slate. But it's weird, AP. I'd almost rather camp in this area than go down outside of maybe Darius Davis or Randall Cobb. Yeah, so can you go over to the captains real quick? Because I'm really curious because it's given the lack of like that mid-tier range. I mean, it's probably forcing one of these punt values in the flex spot into most of our builds, right? Yeah. To be able to get the Garrett Wilsons or the Austin Eckler at the captain spot. Are there let's check it out here. Jets defense. Let's put in a kicker. Let's put in Zuerlein, and let's throw in Quentin Johnston in there, and you get a build like this, right? That's 3 mid-tier options with 3 stars. That's not horrible at all. Breece Hall, Zach Wilson, Austin Eckler. That one's bold. Zach Wilson without a pass catcher, but there is stuff there that you can still get a stud and captain easily. Like this one right here. Oh, that one's real nice. Yeah, I actually like that one a lot. So you have Austin Eckler, captain, very fine captain. I believe he was optimal last game. He definitely was. I mean, he was a machine, and a lot of that was catches out of the backfield, which I really like against this defense
they would be sharp to go right back to that. We have a kicker in there. We have one quarterback, which I also like. You have the Wilson to Wilson connection. And then, Quentin Johnson, I could see him being that guy that, how many – he was targeted 6 times last, 5 catches, 6 off 6 targets, 50 yards. Hasn't gotten to the box all season. The other thing, too, is with Justin Herbert, looking at – so his worst result on the season was in Kansas City. They held him to just under 13 DraftKings points, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He's gonna throw for a touchdown. It's just what he does. I could see it coming to you could see it being like a Donald Parham. Gerald Everett is a full go, right?
Yes, Gerald Everett is a full go tonight. Yes.
He didn't play last week. And then was last week the week that people were looking at Stone Smart, where Bobby Boom was, since Gerald Everett was out?
Yeah,
remember that?
I'm a big Stone Smart guy. Yeah, I did play him. I did mint cash, I believe, because I had Austin Eckler captain. It was nice.
Did he do anything? I gotta pull up the snap count.
He ran some routes, he blocked some plays, and then Trey McKitty got cut after the game.
Oh man, there you go. I don't think we could go there, especially with Gerald Everett back. But it would be funny if it was Guyton to be the guy. In that case, and if he's not eligible in DraftKings, that brings into, that would make these builds even more interesting. You know what I mean? Like if the guy that caught the touchdown ball was on the Chargers side, that just makes me like the 4-2 builds on the Jets side even more, because you got that one guy who's not eligible, not in the pool on DraftKings. And if he's the one that randomly catches the touchdown ball, that would kind of takes away some
people. I would love it.
Oh, exactly.
God, I want that to happen so bad. It would tilt so many people to a degree. And I also am in complete agreement with you. And I don't think I'm going to captain Justin Herbert tonight, but it would be funny if Justin Herbert got to the captain spot by throwing a ball to Jalen Guyton, because usually the way we caution against is, well, he might throw it to Keenan or whatever. If he throws him to Guyton, there's a chance that his chance of being in the captain goes way up.
Yeah, I like that. I'm just looking at, Stone Smart, 57% of the snaps. Trey McKitty, 22%, but he got cut. Parham, 62%. We got Everett back, though, so he should take – it should be Everett and Parham. And then Austin Eckler, 67% last week to Josh Kelly, 22%. Isaiah Spiller, 12%. But that was probably likely in the fourth quarter when they were up by a bunch, right?
Yeah. Well, Isaiah Spiller did get work in the game. He ended up getting the final drive too. So a few of those snaps were legit, and then 3 runs at the end were not legit.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find some potential, because I feel like, just looking at this too, you see in the past optimals usually a cheap value piece in there. But last week we had Cameron Dicker, the kicker, Cole Kmet. Oh, tight ends. That's the other thing that I wanted to talk about. So tight ends against the Chargers has been one of the absolute smash spots. And Cole Kmet, even with Tyson Bagent throwing him the ball last week, I think he caught 10 balls for 79 yards.
Yeah, he went off. So, he was in the optimal.
What are you getting for Tyler Conklin? Because I think this could be a great spot for him.
Well, funny enough, I bumped down Tyler Conklin. Let's give him a couple points up. Let's make him ahead of these Chargers outside of Everett. Everett's going to have a slightly higher one, right? Let's also do this real quick. Let's make some of these changes too. So I got tight end sorted. Let's go to running back here. Let's get Austin Eckler up just a couple more points. I want him to be head and shoulders above Keenan and them. And I think getting him high up is going to be the move today. Let's
throw Uzoma in there too.
Uzoma, perfect.
Uzoma, right, yeah. What I call him, Uzoma.
Uzoma,
same difference, right?
Former Bengal, great.
Yeah. So let's play on that narrative. So Bengals win last night. Maybe you get a little bit more from him, but no, seriously though, we need that cheap value piece. He is what's his price? And I'm looking up his snap share right now.
Min price, I believe.
So almost 50% of the snaps last week, and targeted once. I mean, he has one touchdown on the year. It was against Kansas City at home.
It was on the Showdown.
Yeah, so I like that play. Maybe let's give him a little love too. And then, yeah, Conklin. So what's that bringing up for us? Do we have to rerun it? Or I guess what – do you ever at what point – because how many builds was he actually hitting with that previous projection? Do you ever – if you make a significant bump like we just did, do you ever rerun the Sims, or do you just let it be?
But we still do have 163 teams with him in a lineup. We probably won't get more than, 8%, 9%, for a 200 guy who won't be owned. So unless I'm getting way too little of him, I won't change it. But you'll see here, now we get 7%, 11 teams with him in, right? And you look at these teams, like that one's not bad at all. That's actually the second ranked team now. There he is right here. You get double tight end. Look at that. Look away, AP. I can't hand check.
Yeah, I like that, because you get the one thing about Keenan Allen and why I don't think we full fade him is he's going to get the volume. So right there in that build, you got the Wilson to Wilson connection that we like. That we're attacking the secondary of the Bolts. We can attack them with tight ends too. So you have Wilson triple stack. They're like the one we need. So when I look at this, we obviously need points. We need probably, how could this build be optimal? It would be, I think, Garrett Wilson not getting in the box, but having over 100 yards and like 7 or 8 catches. But then Zach Wilson throwing like a ball to Uzama, and then Conklin maybe getting the other one, and he being the volume tight end. And then on the flip side, we would need the targets to be there for Keenan Allen, and then for Eckler to be the guy that scores on their side, right? I mean, we mapped it out perfectly.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we just saw it last night. It would have worked for sure with Sample, Irv, and Tanner Hudson all getting there and stuff. But yeah, it's not a terrible script at all. And I think that's why it's important that I think Herbert is a subpar play today, in all honesty. I think that the PPR option, if Herbert's going to get there, it has to be through Eckler and Keenan Allen. I understand that these cheap wide receivers and stuff are going to make that door open. However, I don't like it. I don't like it. I'd rather almost go Eckler for sure. I just think going these Jets studs too is better. Garrett Wilson, Zach Wilson, Breece Hall. I just think that's going to be the move. We're both on the Jets to win. If the script is Eckler catching a lot of balls out of the backfield, sign me up, because that's what we hope is happening, is that Herbert's having to check it down 3-4 yards at a time, and Eckler is just scooping up those PPR points. And I love that. And Keenan Allen, he can outscore Herbert with just a 7 for 50 stat line. If this game is as low scoring as I think it might be, he might only need 12 or 13 DraftKings fantasy points to get there. And I think that's important to note. I mean, these 3 Chargers are significantly more expensive than the Jets, and the spread is close, and the matchup is so much better in the Jets' favor. I think we have a perfect storm tonight, AP.
I think one thing I'm going to do also, and I don't do this too often, but I think in the captain, I'm going to eliminate every Charger except for Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler. Like, I don't like what, I mean, maybe Quentin Johnson, but you just look at it, they've been so good against receivers, except for the point that I pointed out, which was the volume-based receivers, which Keenan Allen is. That for that reason alone, I don't want to exclude him from being, in the captain spot. And then we have the Flowchart matchup, Eckler. That is the one soft spot in the Jets defense. He sets up very well to be that guy. Outside of that, then if you go over to the Jets side, I could see it seems like we have a lot more captain viable options. Like, I could see Conklin being that guy. I could see Garrett Wilson. I could see it being Breece Hall. I even think there are paths where it could be Zach Wilson. I mean, I know we don't like quarterbacks in the captain, but I could definitely see that. What's your thoughts on Zach Wilson, captain?
So Zach Wilson can run the ball, right? I mean, that's the number one thing for him that makes sense, is that he's mobile, he's an athlete, everything around it makes sense. He ran the ball for 25 yards last week. He ran it for 26 yards a couple weeks before that. I like it. I like a guy get into the end zone. We just saw Dak being able to do it. Zach Wilson's got it out. Like, dude, your arm ain't cutting it. Use your legs and stuff. And yeah, I think he can run one in easily. I don't think it would be hugely surprising at all. And 8-8 is super cheap for a quarterback, especially against a bad secondary and stuff. I'll definitely entertain Zach Wilson captain, I think.
So, like right now, you're getting in this build 17 captains. Are you ever
let's trim it down?
Trimming that down just to see what, and then how do you trim it down too? I'm curious to see how you do it.
So I asked myself, can I see this guy being optimal in the captain?
Yep.
No, not tonight. Well, the Chargers defense, you can make a case for it against Zach Wilson, but not tonight. Darius Davis, no, I don't believe in the studs tonight. Cameron Dicker, I don't like captaining kickers at all. Joshua Kelly, what am I, a joke? Parham, no. We're starting to get into the fringe. I'll leave Conklin in there for the respect. And any of these guys, you know what? I don't like captaining Alan Lazard. I just don't love the upside or anything. I think for just 3K more or whatever, 4K more.
What if we do that? The only Chargers side captains are, and again, obviously we're just playing a script here, but Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler, and we remove every other Charger.
Let's do that. Let's cook. There we go. And let's go ahead. Yeah, everyone else looks fine. Yes, I am considering Jets defense captain in some teams today. Let's get Herbert.
I do that same thing, and I don't know if it's correct or not, but even if I'm just removing it's just, I guess I got in the habit of re-clicking the run the sims, contest sims. Any change you make, are you rerunning it? So even if you just remove a player?
If I'm hitting a min or like a max, I don't think I had to rerun it there, but I just did it to be safe and stuff. But you'll see here, what it did is gravitate a lot more. We're getting a lot more of the guys that we want. See, the numbers did change after I made those X's. All right. And these are the guys that we want in the captain. I literally think if the captain comes outside of these 5 guys, I will not be that happy tonight. And if it is out of those 5 guys, hopefully it's the Jets or Conklin. I like captain teams a lot.
Yeah, I like that kind of distribution range of captain options. I think that's a pretty good pool right there. Garrett Wilson, Austin Eckler, Breece Hall, Zach Wilson. And again, we don't like quarterbacks in the captain spot, but when you factor in the price, rushing potential upside, and we did see it. If Dak Prescott can do it, and he did it with his legs, you could see Zach Wilson, and it's just kind of a flowchart spot too. But just
for what it's worth, I mean, we were this close from Joe Burrow being the optimal captain last night.
Right. And imagine a scenario where the touchdowns do go to like that script that we just talked about, Conklin, maybe your boy CJ, and then maybe it's Garrett Wilson that's just the volume guy. That is a path to where it could push Zach Will, and then if he gets a rushing touchdown, he would be mint in that captain spot. And that's what we saw with Dak Prescott. But again, I think that slate, it was close to CeeDee Lamb. I think he almost overtook him to be viable or optimal in the captain. And that's just why it's also very tough for quarterbacks to end up in that spot. But pricing is a big factor. I think Zach Wilson's price is cheap for a quarterback. This is something that I should go back and look through, like in my database, the average price for a quarterback on the showdown slates. Is that something you ever look at? 8,800 feels pretty light when you're thinking about a quarterback.
You're thinking about a flowchart spot too. I mean, goodness, we got the flowchart up and stuff. This is a solid spot. The NBA flowchart is something I'm getting used to now with obviously using a lot last year, but now that we're 2 weeks into the season, we're actually getting a sample. But this is a good spot for quarterbacks. Great spot for wide receivers and stuff too. It's just, and full cheeks for Keenan Allen and stuff. So using that flow chart and using these quarterbacks, whether they're too cheap or not, I think Zach Wilson is definitely. I think he's more in the right range of pricing, and I just think Herbert is just so far ahead of him in the pricing that it just makes it seem he's so cheap. If that made sense at all, but Wilson just seems cheap because of Herbert's so expensive. But this is about where I'd expect Wilson to land.
Yeah, Bajent last week, and again they were on the road, and that was just a tough spot for him. But still threw for 232 yards. He put up 13 DK points, and that was with 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So I just think that, if you go back further, the Chargers have given up some monster games. 424 yards to Mahomes, 272 to Dak, but Dak had that rushing touchdown. 376 yards to Cousins. Tannehill had a good game against them. And then obviously week 1 against Tua went off for 466 yards, 3 touchdowns. So this defense continues to get, they did embarrass and humble Bagent. But again, I think we all agree that Zach Wilson better than Bagent. And he's starting to look decent. It was that Chiefs game, man. Who knows who knows what's going on there with him, but I think he's looked a little better. Is he prone to making mistakes? Yeah, he could definitely make some mistakes. That's why we're not fully eliminating the Chargers defense. But outside of that, with this, so he's only 1 interception since the Dallas game where he threw for 3. So he's managing the game a lot better, and we like this matchup. I like that a lot. Anything else that you're seeing here?
Nothing really that's popping off the page. I just want to stress, I think the Jets just kick ass tonight. I think this Chargers team is soft in every sense of it. I don't know. I think this is a good spot. I think a lot of people are going to gravitate to Keenan Allen and Justin Herbert and just plug them in because they're the best players. And hey, rightfully so. Zach Wilson, on paper, he sucks, but I just don't think people are going to realize that this matchup against the Jets is just the worst nightmare for the Chargers. And I don't know. I'm very confident the Jets are going to win tonight. I'm glad that you bet the money line. I'm going to bet the money line tonight too.
I just think it's like sometimes, and I feel like this year it's been panning out in our favor, but I just feel like sometimes these lines are just wrong, and sometimes it does feel too obvious, but I just fire away. And it before I did that, the first thing I checked, I was like, oh, who's out?
AP. Since we started this show, it's gone from plus 160 to plus 150. I'm getting screwed here. You got it in before me at a better number. I'm mad. I get the Jets at plus 150. You got it at plus 160. The line's already dropping. Oh my God.
And I just think it's like, because when I pulled it up, I'm like, well, who is out? And I don't see anyone. And then you just look at it. So the Jets' last 3 games: win over the Eagles 20-14, great defensive performance there. They went into Denver and beat an improved Broncos team, a team that's kind of coming up. Obviously, they beat the Chiefs. Kind of a weird situation there. Who knows how sick Mahomes was, but 3 respectable wins, and they should have beat Kansas City, or they're alive to. They're getting it done this year. You got to like how this team is positioned. They got the Chargers tonight. It would be a massive win. Then they got to go to Las Vegas and play the Raiders, and then the Bills. So tonight's important. If they can get a win tonight, it really sets them up. I do think the Raiders game will be tough with how the Raiders looked yesterday, but you got to, if you're a Jets fan, I think you can be a little optimistic there. And then the Chargers, this team has so much upside, so much talent. They just always underwhelm. And I would rather bet on that happening again tonight. So I'm fully on board with you. I don't know. I'm not even convinced. I guess team versus team in a neutral location, yes. I think the Chargers deserve the points there. But right now, with how each team is playing, I don't know if that's necessarily true when you factor in coaching, decision-making, and that's been kind of the Achilles heel of this Chargers team. So I would rather bank on that, lock in the Jets side, Jets money line, and move on with my life, and then build my DFS scripts around it. I think that sets up to be very good. Yeah. Can you do one thing for me? I want to see. So what contest sims did you highlight? Do you have any of the 3 max? I want to just see the difference if we look at like a 3 max with a smaller field size. And I just want to see what the builds look like.
You have $150 3 max. Let's do that one. Let me go ahead and go back to the Sims builds. And what I'll do is I'll add it here. Settings. We'll go ahead and add the power sweep here. We can leave that one in, but actually we'll just take that one out for now. And then let's rerun the contest Sims. This will only take a second.
I just want to see how it changes the our captain exposure if it's. Yeah. I'm just kind of curious to see what it does. And obviously we remove some, but.
So AP, I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think Quentin Johnston's receiving prop is tonight?
I I'm not the best with props, but 27.5 yards.
You're very close. 32.5. It's lower than I
32.
thought. I thought they put him in the 40s. To put that in perspective, that is 14 yards lower than Demario Douglas. Yesterday, obviously going against Washington.
Yeah. Yep.
That is not a good number at all. 3.6. Yeah. Gravitate a lot of flies to the trap too.
What about Keenan Allen?
How low that was.
I know I love what our guy B Nair does in chat. He for each of these slates he adjusts the turns the props into a projection basically. I freaking love that.
Yeah, that is nice. But yeah, I think this is actually going to be honestly pretty fun. I cooked up 180-1 same game parlay. I'm going to rifle a free bet on it. So yeah, if it wins 13,500, we'll do a giveaway if it hits, and I'll post this one.
What is it?
New York Jets money line under 40, over Conklin. So Conklin to get 3 receptions or more, Eckler to get 5 catches or more, Garrett Wilson anytime touchdown score, under 250 passing yards for Herbert, and then Zach Wilson over 3.5 rushing attempts. He'll get those when he knees at the end of the game, kneels it down. There you go. We scripted it to perfection.
I like it. That's and that's how you build those single game parlays. What's the odds on that one?
180-1. So 75 win 13.5, and if it hits, we'll do a $500 giveaway next show.
I like that. Let's all right. So the schedule today for everyone viewing, we got the hardwood at 4:45 like we do each and every weekday. It's not going to be me today though. It's going to be Bryce, JT Hayes, and Draft Cheat. My wife's out of town until Wednesday, and I got 2 kids, one in middle school, one in grade school, and so I got to bust them around to all their activities. All my content will still be up. I got my mobile workstation with my laptop, iPad, and all of that. So that's not a big deal for me. But it'll be Bryce on today's show. We got the Up to Lock show, the NBA Final Countdown with our boys JSU, Big T, shout out again, coming off that monster win. And then the Print Factory taking us up to lock with the Prez, Wiley, Tony, and JSU. So a nice aggressive schedule today. Lots of money to be made. The NBA slate looks really good too. 12 games. It's going to be a good one. Any final thoughts from you today, Rubio?
Nope. Jets money line.
Jets side, Jets money line. I mean, I'm with you. I'm glad we're on the same page. I think our record when we're doing this is pretty good on the year. I don't fully have it down, but I know my NFL record for betting has been pretty good. Shout out to the bet side, the premium picks over there. I think they 3-2 yesterday, I believe, which was very, very solid.
Yeah,
3-2. So, all right, we'll end it there. NFL 15% off, or RPS 15% off. Come check us out, sign up, test out Sabersim. For Rubio, I'm AP. Run Pier.